Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
You're watching.
We're watching. You're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy. Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot. I assume Tom.
وسيم، ها شو في اخبارك؟
الحمد لله. تحكي عربي؟ انا ما احكي كلش زين. لغتي كلش مكسر.
حبيبي انت عراقي كله مكسر. ما تنسى انا اشوري، انا اصلكم، سو هيك ليش؟
Yeah, it's very difficult for me to understand the different dialects, but Suri, I can kind of get it.
No, it's all right. So my mom's from Lebanon, my father's Assyrian, so we always joke with Arab Iraqis, yani, we're your origin, so don't ever don't forget that aspect.
Right, yeah. No, I had a lot of Chaldean friends growing up.
Yeah. So Wasim, congratulations on The Promised Land coming to YouTube, episode 1. The pilot is out now. On October 1st, the episode 2 is coming. What's it like playing Moses?
It's a fraction of what it was probably like to be Moses, which is intimidating, overwhelming, huge responsibility, trying to do better than your best, if that is even possible. So, it's because people watch it and they're like, hey, did you have so much fun? And it's like, I don't know if I would call it fun, because I was really trying to immerse myself into what that experience would be like. And yeah, it's not that fun,
Yeah. I don't think being a prophet in any religion is fun.
Absolutely not. And he refuses, he refuses God multiple times. He's like, I'm not the guy for the job, which is so interesting because Moses' self-doubt is so deep, so severe. If God did create us in his image, when you doubt yourself, you're doubting him as well.
Yeah.
So that's how deep his doubt ran, that he doubted God's wisdom about who should undertake this, Herculean task.
What I love about the series so far, I've seen the pilot. I'm not giving away too much because the pilot's already out. We want everybody to see it at this point. But the relationship between Moses and Miriam, and then Jethro, and then Aaron, it's this very familial and familiar cultural aspect of trying to get along with siblings and relatives, while there's still that rivalry going on of just like Miriam says at one point, oh, sure, I'm the one with the talent, but he's the one that leads the nation because my mother put him in a basket.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's this interesting jealousy.
Yeah. No, it is interesting. And, I'm sure that you've experienced in your life that, however whole or integral we think our personalities are, we are different people with different people, and different facets and shades of our personality come out depending on who we're with,
Being in something like this, especially a biblical comedy, there has to be this fine line of, where can we be humorous and where is the line of being disrespectful? And you've managed to ride this line of not insulting anyone's faith, but also still finding the humor in the realism of, what could be and the stresses of dealing with people. Like, God help me with my foot, or, I have a headache, what's going on, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's, I think, a testament to Mitch Hudson, who wrote, created, and directed this, is that it was always, I remember, during my audition, I was trying to be funny first, and then the Moses came second, and he told me to reverse that. And it was very crucial, imperative, and important to him that he was like, this is the Moses story, and then we're going to find the funny. But the Moses story is the centrality of this piece. And, I give most of the credit to him, and having him being able to guide me, and set the boundaries of, what he wanted, what his vision was. And I think he did an excellent job of that, because finding the funny in the in-betweens while still being dead serious about what these people are going through and what they had to do.
Right. I often joke with all my Iraqi friends, whether Assyrian or Arab or anybody from the homeland, essentially. because a lot of them ended up in Arizona. So I often joke, I said, what, you couldn't escape the desert. And here you are, a Baghdadi from Iraq that can't escape the desert. Now you're playing Moses spending 40 years in the desert. Take us through the shooting process of this.
Of the entire season, yeah, we shot in St. George. Well, we filmed the pilot in October of 2022. It wasn't released till 24, and then we shot. We shot in 24. Yeah, it's 2025. Yeah, and then we shot in October of 24 in St. George, which I don't know if you've ever been, but just beautiful landscape. I mean, everywhere you look, it just feels like God's paintings. Just gorgeous. But the weather was pretty schizophrenic, go from storming to heat to, winds blowing. And living in the desert, even in modern times, is very, difficult endeavor. And the fact that they did it then, oof.
Especially no air conditioning, no water, no nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Your sweat was like the old school air conditioning, because once you sweat, you get a little wind blowing under your tunic, and you're like, woof.
See, we need to bring the tunic back. That should just become the modern fashion statement.
We'll do a tank top tunic, So I believe those are called dresses, actually.
Yes. Well, we'll bring back the toga. We'll keep it something simple. But when you've also worked on The Chosen. You're going to be Yanni, or you are Yanni rather. And here we are with the Promised Land about Moses. When you get in touch with these ancient stories and these ancient roots, and knowing where we come from and being the cradle of civilization itself, how connective is, even though it's art, there has to still feel a sense of connectivity to the roots of where we came from and the origins of civilization.
Well, that was never like a topic of thought for me. Because those stories are so ancient, and we have a very particular reverence for them, you kind of lose the reality of perhaps what it was like, because they are the same human beings that we are today. It's the same hardware. The software may be different in terms of belief systems and all of that stuff. So my main focus is always to justify the character to something that I could buy into. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, obviously there is, a connectivity to that place and that region. And if it informed me, it has, perhaps subconsciously.
So this also begs the question, since you're in the arts and you are from Iraq, what master's degree did you have to get first before your parents gave you the blessing to go into live performing?
That's funny you say that, because my father left Iraq in 1985 to pursue his higher education here in theater. He got his PhD in theater from Texas Tech University. And I am a college dropout. So yeah, I know. My mom's still upset with it. She's like, listen, after this is all over, maybe you could go back to school.
Go finish your bachelor's. That's all she wants at this point.
That's it.
Finish the engineering degree that you started with, and then continue on with it.
Yeah.
I'll
print out one of those fake diplomas.
Listen, there's some people that have been doing that recently that just got caught. So be careful. But as we continue on, the season's being released. We had our pilot. Everything finally got funded to continue on the season. How many episodes are we going through? Because I know this one's dropping on, or the second episode's dropping on October 1st. Is it going to be a weekly release? Is it going to be bi-weekly? Like, how is the release schedule looking?
Yeah, it's going to be a weekly release starting Wednesday, October 1st. And we have 5 episodes ready to go to conclude the first season. Mitch has, well, I shouldn't talk about what his plans are. But yeah, so it's going to be released on a weekly basis on YouTube.
And going through this, and especially spending time in Utah in St. George, I haven't been there yet. I really want to visit because everyone keeps telling me how beautiful it is. When you get to go and shoot over there, and how long was the shooting schedule for 5 episodes in this regard?
I think it was like a little over 6 weeks.
Okay. So you spend 6 weeks in the Utah desert. Luckily, it wasn't too hot or too cold at the time. October seems to be the sweet spot for all of this.
Yeah.
And then you get to pull back and now become an audience member. What's it like? Because being in it in the moment and then having memories of it are two totally different worlds. Like, what was something that you experienced in the desert that just sticks out and has kind of become a core memory for you?
Just the overall expansiveness of it, and because, we would go and just drive out like 10 to 15 minutes away from town, sometimes 30 minutes, but it just goes on forever and it shrinks you. It really does, which is, I mean, a humbling and welcome experience, especially for this character. And, and you watch it and what the team has done with, the cinematography and the quality of it, the way it just pops, and they really captured and took advantage of, all the scenic beauties that were there and placing the story in the midst of that. I think it's just a beautiful feast for your eyes,
Yeah, it doesn't look like something that would have just been released on YouTube. It looks like something that would have ended up on Amazon. Like, the quality is so beautiful that from what I've seen so far.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. When you get to play in this, God, I was going to say something stupid, but it's all right. The sandbox. That's the phrase.
I only say stupid things. So go ahead.
I was like, it's going to come out so derogatory. But yalla alena. When you get to kind of play in this sandbox with all these other performers and everybody that is a part of the story and the intricacy that's going on. Because yes, you're Moses and you're the lead, but there's also the aspects of, tertiary characters and people that will have smaller roles, but sometimes steal the scene, especially with one-liners. And you get to bring all that together in this ensemble. Is there a moment where you're like, oh, they did this in episode 2 when we were filming, I got to step it up next season so we can keep that momentum going?
Right. No, I mean, I never understood anybody trying to be the main focus puller of every scene. If anybody can steal scene, steal away, be a thief. Because, I do believe that it's making the scene better, I mean, because you're kind of like directing towards a competitiveness, which, I mean, there is some of that involved, but no, I want everybody. I mean, I want everybody to be better, not than other people, but better than they think they can be, because the show will rise, and that's what it is. I mean, we've seen countless examples of, actors being better than the project that they're in, but who cares,
Well, I bring the scene stealing up because Tucker Smallwood, who plays your father Jethro, it just some of his facial expressions and one-liners, like where Moses is getting frustrated with him, and he's like, I got to tell him. And then even in the frustration that he can't get the words out because he keeps getting cut off, is now given sound advice and like has to humble himself to his father-in-law. Is just such a beautiful scene-stealing moment.
Yeah, it really is. It's like a plane about ready to launch, and then the brakes are hit, and you're like,
Yeah.
Who's a brilliant actor, by the way, and he's been in business forever, and was such a warm and endearing person.
What
is?
Yeah, don't put him in past tense yet. We want Tucker around for a while.
Yeah.
Watching everybody's performance, watching the scenery, there isn't a missed moment. There isn't a wasted spot. Like, sometimes we'll see a 3-hour film and they're like, God, this could have been cut down by 45 minutes, or even an hour. When we sit there and watch The Promised Land, there doesn't seem to be a wasted moment. Is this shot kind of in the sense like theater, like boom, 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 because we only have 6 weeks? We got the takes, let's go? Or is there moments to reflect and pull back and readjust?
Well, I think that you're complimenting Mitch in terms of just juicing the fruit till it's as dry as possible. And I think it's also the talent of all of the actors who are leaving no stone unturned. And it is, I mean, it's still filmmaking, that stop and go constantly. But I think it's a testament to Mitch's writing, and also the talent of the actors who are just never satisfied and constantly trying to glean more from the circumstances that we're in, you know.
What's been interesting, especially in recent years, the way streaming has taken off, you'll ask somebody, hey, do you want to watch this 3.5 hour film? And like, oh my God, 3.5 hours for a movie? No. And then you get 5 episodes that are 45 minutes long. You're like, sure, I'll sit through all 5 episodes. So it's become this strange dichotomy between the two.
It's it's such a weird thing because I have that as well. You know, I will like, oh, this movie is 2 hours and 17 minutes. I don't know if I want to invest that. But then, you know, I end up watching Presumed Innocent in like in a day. You know, you're like, what is this? Which I mean, I enjoy the fact that we're releasing week to week because it, you know, leaves them wanting more, hopefully. But you know, the binge watching experience, that bonding that you have with the story and the characters, I think is, you know, it's kind of like the visual representation of reading a novel, you know, because you get to spend so much time with these people, you know, in a condensed amount of time. Yeah, I agree with you.
The beautiful thing about the way things are going is we have our secular storytelling and then we have our faith-based storytelling. This isn't necessarily faith-based, but it's faith-based inspired. And it seems that, you know, even in its humor, there's still a wholesomeness to the promised land. You know, and I'm enjoying that aspect because it's not something that you have to warn everybody about. It still has very PG-13 sensibilities. And I think that's interesting because you don't have to worry about something being offensive in that regard. And seeing how respectful that the material is and the performers are to the situation finds this beautiful balance.
Right. That was first and foremost on Mitch's mind that, like I said, you know, this is the Moses story and, you know, we're treating it with reverence. And we're not making fun of them. We're not going for the funny at their expense, but we're finding the funny in the in-betweens.
Wasim, for the people that are very stuffy, you know, sometimes I can be stuffy. You know,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to religion, whether Christianity, Islam, or Judaism, sometimes we get, we get a mutasabbin, we get a little tight on it because are they making fun of our religion? Are they being faithful? Like, so we worry before we even hit play. What would you like to tell the people before they even click play on YouTube to help them ease into watching The Promised Land?
Well, I mean, the question that, you know, Mitch asked me is like, do you think God has a sense of humor? And my immediate answer is, of course. There's no way he doesn't. Now, obviously, you know, we can conflate laughing at certain things as being disrespectful, but this show is never laughing at them. You know, it is like I said, you know, finding the funny in between. But of course, you know, I'm sure that there are going to be people who are offended, and you have every right to be offended. And perhaps it's just not for you. But I would say give it a shot, and I think it will surprise you in terms of how funny it is, how wholesome, like you said, it is, and how heartfelt it is.
Wasim, I really want to thank you for your time today. Congratulations on The Promised Land. The pilot is out now. Episode 2 comes out on October 1st. Where can we find you on social media to keep the conversation going?
I unfortunately am not on social media, so you can't find me. But for stuff about the show, go to the promisedlandseries.tv, or they have an Instagram account, the Promised Land Series.
You're smarter than the rest of us. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Okay, brother. Thank you very much. Have a great day.